Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be in this beautiful world of ours. So I know it has been a long time since I have posted a video or done a live here on YouTube. Actually, since I've posted or done a live on any platform, but I wanted to come on and just give some information about what's been going on and where I have been. So we'll wait and see who else joins. It's not showing me who has joined the live. I have it set that only subscribers can comment because you get some brave, ignorant people in these internet streets, keyboard warriors. So you can't comment if you're not a subscriber. Hello, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. We're going to wait a few minutes to see who comes on, and then I will get started with the conversation. I hope everybody's having a great day. Yes, it has been a long time. How are you? I am doing well. I am doing well. I'll give an update about where I have been, what's going on. I am still in the great state of North Dakota. I am still here, haven't gone anywhere. I am still advocating for people um, to make the move to North Dakota. I still think moving to North Dakota is a good option for many people. Baltimore in the house. My grandmother was born in Baltimore. She was born in Baltimore is how she would pronounce it, Baltimore. But I hope everything is going well. So, um, someone moved here to North Dakota. She attended the Move to North Dakota Summit we had it in February, and she attended the summit. Then she purchased the Move to North Dakota toolkit. She decided she was going to move here. She initially thought she would move here in October when her lease was up, but she decided to go ahead and make the leap of faith, and she moved here. I think it may be a month now, but she was brave enough that she moved here sight unseen. I mean, I moved to North Dakota sight unseen. I had never been here before, but I got a job offer here, and that's how I ended up here. Trinity Healthcare System, they actually paid for me to move here when they hired me. Um, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. And I will be back more often. I promise you, I am going to be back on a regular, and I'll give you some updates on what's been going on and why I have been gone for so long. But yeah, she made the move here. She said for 2 years she had been thinking about leaving the state where she was at because her daughter no longer lived here in the United States, and she had just been wanting to leave. But after doing some research, and then she came across my YouTube channel talking about living in North Dakota. And then, if you've been a follower a while, you'll know that I had a Move to North Dakota Summit, and she attended that. Then she bought the toolkit, and then she just decided to take the leap of faith, um, and she moved here. She moved here sight unseen. And initially, I thought she had an apartment lined up before she came here, but she didn't. She stayed in the hotel for about a week, and then she found an apartment. She looked around, found an apartment, and the good thing for her is that she is saving so much money by moving here. She decided to get rid of her car. You can use a car here, um, but where I live in Minot, you do not need a car. You can get by here. No, I'm so sorry. No, I'm still here. I'm not sure what happened. Something, my camera started acting funky. Can you guys still hear me? Can you hear me? Type a one in the chat box if you can hear me. Okay, good. Thank you. So where I live in Minot, you do not need a car. You don't need a car because we have Lyft. Now, I've been here 13 years. When I first came here, they did not have Lyft. We don't have Uber, but we have Lyft. Lyft came here, I think, maybe about 2 years ago, maybe three. But we have Lyft, we have the public bus, and the great thing about here is we have something called the Ceres Basin Bus. And this bus system works like a cab essentially, because what you do is you can call it the night before. Of course, you give it the dispatcher, whoever, your address and information, and you tell them what time you need to be picked up the next day and where you're going. And I don't know the price of it now, but when I first came here, the price was like $2.50. I think you can't beat that, because what happens is they take you right to where you're going, and then you can schedule it to take you back home. Now, my dad, before he retired a few years ago, he was no longer comfortable with driving in the snow. So at winter, when winter came, he would no longer drive to work because at the hospital, employees parked across the street from the hospital in the parking lot and had to walk across a road to get into the hospital building. It's not like that now because they built a new hospital here in town, but my dad wasn't comfortable with that because a few people had fallen crossing the street. So he stopped driving himself to work, and he would schedule the bus for the entire week. He would schedule the bus a week ahead of time. The only thing about this bus is that when they tell you or you schedule the bus to pick you up at 8:15 or whatever, you better be out there and looking out your window. If you're upstairs, not the upstairs window, downstairs, looking at the window, out the door, because they will pull off and leave you. They're not waiting, going to be calling you. They used to call, but I guess too many people was just taking advantage of it. And now they don't call you to say, "Hey, I'm out here," or nothing. You better be ready to get in that bus, which is it's not like a big city bus. It's like a mini a mini bus. But you better be ready, or they're gonna roll off and leave you. They're gonna leave you. So that's great. So you don't need a car here where I live in this part of North Dakota. So you can absolutely survive without a car. But she sold her car. Her car is sold. She said it sold so quick, for almost the price she paid for it. I think she said she has that car uh, 11 years ago. And I'm like, whoa, price of used cars are up that much that you got almost what you paid for it. Now, I haven't had a new car in I don't know how long. The last car I bought was during COVID. I bought a 2009 Chevy Corolla from some older lady that hardly drove it anywhere. The car looked smack brand new, like we had just gotten it brand new from a dealership. It looked really, really good, really good. And we paid like $5,000 for it. So I haven't had a car note in forever. I keep saying I want a new car just for Still, but I don't need a new car. I really don't, and I don't want to pay payments on a car with the cost of payments. Like, no, thank you. I will keep driving my Corolla. But people are moving here. There's still a lot of opportunity here. She said that she is saving on her rent. She's saving $700 a month because her apartment that she has here is cheaper than the apartment where she came from. And then she's saving more money because she doesn't have a car and doesn't have to pay car insurance and other things that come along with the maintenance of a car. So I'm excited about that. That, hey, I never knew in a million years that 13 years ago when I moved here to North Dakota, I encouraged a lot of people that I knew, family and friends that I knew that were struggling. Hey, move here to North Dakota. You can get a job, and not just any job. You're going to get a good job. They're going to offer benefits, and you can get ahead in life. Here is somewhere that you can still buy a home and it not break the bank. My husband and I, we bought a home September of last year, and it's a 4 bedroom, 3 bath, 2 story, a little shy of 2,500 square feet. We have a huge front yard, 2 car garage, but our parking, what do you call it? The driveway can fit like 6 cars in the driveway. The backyard is huge. It's fenced. We didn't even pay $300,000 for our home. We bought it so my husband could pay the mortgage with just his income. Because I've owned a home before I was married, and I didn't use wisdom with purchasing a home. And I told myself, if I ever purchase a home again, I'm gonna do things a little bit smarter. So when my husband and I we bought our home, we didn't use both incomes to qualify for a more house. We bought what we could qualify for on just his income and said, with my income, we would use that later to buy an investment property. But if you are living somewhere where you are struggling, having a hard time making ends meet, don't be afraid to move. Maybe North Dakota is not the place for you, but look for somewhere where you can work and it's not taking all of your paycheck to put food on your table, keep a roof over your head, and take care of your children, and to have some extra to do some things with your family. Don't be afraid to move. Now, when I moved here, it was just me and my boyfriend. He's now my husband, but I didn't know anyone here. I didn't know anyone here. People used to say, are there any black people there? And I would say, well, there's going to be 2 black people there. I don't know if there's any other black people there, but there's going to be 2 black people there. And when I first came here, I could tell that the white kids had never seen black people in real life, or very few black people, because they would stare at you. And it wasn't a stare of, what are you doing? It was a stare of curiosity, like, ooh, I never seen you before off of TV. I'm sure it was not like that in Fargo, because Fargo is a bigger city. It's closer to Minnesota. Minnesota is more diverse. There's a big African population in Minnesota, but here in Minot, there were not a lot of black people. We have a military base here, but a lot of military people did not venture off of the base. Now, there's a lot of black people here. We're still the minority, but there's a lot of black people here. But one thing I can say, I never had a feeling of people giving me a hard time just because I was black. Oh, yes, a lot of Native Americans here. A lot of Native Americans here. We have reservations here. So we have a lot of natives here. But I never felt like someone was just giving me a hard time because I was black. Like, ooh, what are you doing here? The people were very friendly, outgoing. Now, I did have a problem in the last apartment I lived in with a neighbor, and I don't know if it was because she was racist or that she was just nutty. And that's to tell you the truth, because Before that, I never had a problem with any of my neighbors the whole time I've been here. When I first moved here, the bus only ran till 4:30, the public bus. It runs later than that now, but back then it only ran till 4:30. And I went to Target, not Target, Kmart, when Kmart was still open. I went to Kmart and I was talking to my husband on the phone. I said, "Hey, I need to go to Walmart, but I don't know if I will get home on time with catching the bus because the bus is going to stop running." And someone overheard me and she says, "I'm going to Walmart. I'll give you a ride." And she was so sincere. And I was saying, "I'm not getting in the car with you. You gotta be crazy." And she was like, "I promise you, I'm not going to do anything to you. I will take you to Walmart and then I'll take you home." I said, "Ma'am, where I come from, we just don't do that. We just don't get in the car with strangers." But after living here for so long, I knew she wasn't going to do anything to me. She was going to take me to Walmart and take me home. Wasn't nothing going to happen to me. But after living in Miami area in Georgia, it's like, we don't get in the car with strangers. Nah, boo. No way. Absolutely not. But, and when I started my business, um, I had some problems with what do you call it? Unemployment, not unemployment, workers' compensation. Because here in North Dakota, you can only buy working compensation insurance from the state. And I really think it would have been the person, not racism, because some people are just ignorant. They're just ignorant. But she kept telling me, "Well, you got to have unemployment insurance before I can give you workman's comp." I called the unemployment office. They're like, "Well, you don't have any employees. We can't give you unemployment insurance." So I don't know what she's talking about. I had to like really be forceful. Like, listen, I don't have any employees. They won't give me unemployment insurance. And maybe you don't know your job. But I don't think that had to do anything with she was white, maybe. Sometimes it's hard to tell if it's just some people just ignorant or just racism. And a lot of times, I think it's just people just ignorant, except for my one crazy neighbor. My one crazy neighbor. But now where I live, my neighbor is, everybody deserves a neighbor. Yes, someone says, judging by the comments in your previous videos about North Dakota, the blacks seem to be doing good in North Dakota. That is true. If you come to North Dakota and you're struggling financially after you've been here a while, after you've been here a while, you're struggling whether you're black or white. You're struggling because you just don't have your crap together. And you don't have, as my grandmother would say, you don't have do right in you. Because here is a place where you can get on your feet. It's one of the few places in America where you can have a fair shake. You can come here, you don't have any experience for a certain job, and a lot of times they're going to train you to do the job. You just have to have the right attitude. Have the right attitude. Treat people respectfully. Now, I will say that I have run into some people, black people, that they have an attitude with white people. And I went to Bismarck once because my mother-in-law, she's battling cancer, and um, before she moved back to Georgia, I was her caregiver because she moved with us and whatever, and I made sure she got back and forth to her appointment. So we had to go over to Bismarck to the pain clinic, and we stopped into Panda Express on the way home. There was a black lady in there, and the person behind the counter was white. And oh my God, she was so rude. Now, when we struck up a conversation with her, she was okay. She's like, "Oh, I'm from California," and blah, blah, blah. But when she started dealing with the white lady, oh my God, I was like, what in the hell is going on? And I realized people bring their trauma. And I'm not saying that some things that happen aren't true. and aren't justifiable to be suspicious of people that are not like you. But if you bring your trauma and you bring your bad attitude and you don't judge everyone as individuals, you're going to have a hard time because you're just looking at, oh, this person is white, and you're thinking about the overall, the last whatever somebody did to you instead of judging people as individuals. I mean, she started off with the lady just, but the lady was time enough for her. She was time enough for her. And then when the black manager came up and started talking, she just had a different attitude. And I was like, this is so crazy. It's so unnecessary. And I know coming from California or other places, there may have been instances of racism, but I'm like thinking to myself, you gotta let that trauma go and you gotta start over. And she had her children with her, and then she was cutting up. I was like, oh my God. But if you bring your trauma with you, you're going to have a bad experience. And I'm not saying everyone here is without prejudice or racism. I never tell anybody that. But the majority of people here, they're just good people. They're good people. When I moved to my out of the apartment we lived in, I was like, I don't want to be bothered with no neighbors, because that neighbor we had in the apartment, it was a many a day. I prayed, and some days I did cuss. I had to go back and ask the Lord to forgive me. But I prayed, and I was like, Lord Jesus, can I just drag her today? She was calling the police for nonsense, and every time the police came, they said, we know it's unfounded, but by law we have to come. One day I was so mad. I said, you know what? If I hadn't prayed today, and if I wasn't trying to make Jesus my best friend, I would drag her ass down this hallway. Do you hear me? The cop just started laughing. He was like, ma'am, don't say that on camera. But she's the only person I ever had a problem with. Only person I ever had a problem with. But when I came over here, my neighbor across the street, everybody deserves a neighbor like him. Everyone. He's such a nice guy. He came over, he snow blows our driveway. He's like, I know y'all just moved in, y'all don't have one yet. And then I hired somebody, but when I looked out, he had already did it. And I was saying thank you, and I didn't want to feel like I was taking advantage. He's like, don't worry about it. I know your husband leaves early in the morning and he's come back late, because my husband has a crazy schedule. And now he works 12 days on, 12 hours a day, 2 days off. And he's like, don't worry about it. I do miss such and such. The lady who lived next door to him, she's a widower. And then some other things. The lady lives next door to him. He cuts her grass. The lady who lived next door to me, her husband's military. She was pregnant. Her husband was deployed. He cut their grass, and he doesn't want anything in return. Everyone deserves a neighbor like that. The lady who lives in a corner of the cul-de-sac. She's 90 something. She lives on her own. She came by. She brought my kids brownies and stuff. Sweet little lady. She's like, welcome to the neighborhood. My husband's like, if you ever need anything, just call me. You need your light bulb change. You need whatever fixed at your house. I know you live alone, but you're not alone in this neighborhood. Just call me and let me know whatever you need. Because she's 90 some years old, and her family, they have moved away. But it's a great place. It's a great place. It's a great place to get ahead. Does it get cold here? Yes. But like I tell people, you can travel somewhere to where it's warm. And I'd rather have cold weather and know my bills are paid. I don't need government assistance. I don't need food stamps. Well, food stamps is government assistance. And I'm going to be able to survive and take care of my family, and not just survive, but thrive and live a good life. And there's many places in America you can't do that. I don't know if you guys looked at some posts I made, and I showed I think I showed an apartment that was $625. There are still apartments here that you can rent for 600 and some dollars, 2 bedrooms, and they're nice apartments, and it's not in the hood. We don't really have a hood here. We have some trailer parks that are questionable. That is like you don't go over there unless you're looking for trouble. But it's not like we don't have a projects here. We don't have a hood. You know how some people say everywhere has a hood? Well, I guess they would say the trailer park here, that one trailer park here on the going on the outskirts of town is the hood. But you're not gonna find trouble unless you're looking for trouble. Do we have crime here? Yes, but it's minimal. It is very minimal. My parents live here. My dad's how old is my daddy now? I don't know. My mom's over 60. My dad's over 60. And I told my mom, I said, you guys need to live here forever because my mom, she has a newer van that has the push start um to start her extra car, her extra key in the van, in the little drawer that you push the button and it opens. You keep I call it the junk drawer for the van. She keeps her extra key in there, and she keeps it in there day and night. I picked her up today, and she wanted to go to Home Depot. She didn't want to get in my car because I have a Corolla. She's like, I'm not getting in that car because it's small, smaller than her van. She's like, it's too low. So she's like, drive the van. I'm like, okay, where's your key? And she's like, my key is in here. Just press the button. I'm like, Lord Jesus, you act like you have never lived in a major city. You definitely have not lived in my area in a while. Oh, Lord have mercy. You don't need to live anywhere else ever again. Someone says, I've been thinking about moving there for a couple of years. Let me ask you off the top of your head. Name two things you absolutely love about the move and two things you absolutely hate about the move. Okay, two things I love about living here. I love the safety. My husband, he works for an oil company. I don't know who came up with the schedule for oil workers, but I don't know how they came up with the nonsense. He used to work 26 days on. It's supposed to be a 12-hour shift. The majority of the time, it turns into a 14, 16-hour shift. But he used to work 26 days on, 10 days off. Then he worked 11 days on, 3 days off, same hours. Now he works 12 days on, 2 days off. I like that. My husband leaves for work. He has to be to work at, he used to have to be to work at 6. Now he has to be to work at 7. But when my husband leaving early in the morning and not coming home till later, I feel safe. I feel 100% safe with him being gone a lot. Now he does come home every day unless he has to go out in the field for something or what have you, but that's rare. Um, and if he does go out in the field, he'll be gone at the most 2 or 3 days. But for the most part, majority of the time, he comes home every day. I like that it's safe. I don't purposely leave my garage door up or unlocked because we have a lock on our garage. But if I do, no one's gonna come in my house, break in, do something to me or my children. I'm not saying it will never happen or it will not happen, but it's highly unlikely. Highly, highly, highly unlikely. I like that it's safe for me to raise my children here. My children have bikes, whatever they have. My son has what's that little thing? Like a mini motorcycle, but it's not a motorcycle. Dirt bike. Dirt bike. They can leave that stuff out front, on the lawn, in the driveway for 2 or 3 days. 2 or 3 days from now, it's gonna still be there. When we lived in the apartment, my kids, I would tell them put your stuff in the garage, thinking they put it in the garage. My husband rides by the back of the apartment building. 2 days later, looks out there. Do you know the kids left all their stuff out there? The stuff is still there. I don't have to worry about my kids coming home saying someone was picking on me because of my clothes. They can. wear whatever they want. My second oldest, he's kind of eclectic. Try to tell him to match his clothes or what have you. My oldest, he's like, whatever. He's not going to go to school and come home talking about somebody was picking on him because they didn't have this or that or what have you. They don't come home talking about, oh, I need Balenciaga or whatever the heck else. I see some of these kids talking about that don't live here. Now, I'm not saying when they get to high school, they won't have their thing or what have you, but I don't have to worry about that here. It is safe. It is affordable. It is affordable. We lived in a townhouse before COVID. We lived in a townhouse, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, laundry room, 2 car garage, and we paid 1,000 and I think it was like 1,095. And then they went up on the rent. I mean, where could you get that? And that was before COVID. When COVID hit, we decided, okay, we're going to get out of debt. We need to get out of debt a little bit before COVID, but we got serious. Okay, we're going to get out of debt. We knew we wanted to buy a home, and we said we were going to pay off all our consumer debt before we bought a home. So the only thing we have to deal with is mortgage and, of course, bills you cannot avoid, lights, water, gas. So we moved into an apartment. The apartment was in a secure building, had a code to punch in and out, not a code, key fob. You had to press the intercom that run your apartment for you to let anybody in and out. You really don't need that here because you don't. It's nice. It gives a little more security, but if you don't have it, you're gonna be fine. So the apartment, and it was still 3 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, 2 car garage. It's just that it was an apartment, and we paid not even $900 a month for that apartment, and we lived there 3 years. Babe, how long were we in that apartment? The last apartment we lived in? 3 years? I don't know. We were there a while. And rent increases every year. But our rent never even hit $900 a month. And our rent never hit $900 a month. And this is not Section 8 because we don't qualify. We don't qualify. It's not any kind of other housing or what have you. We don't qualify. So where else could you get that? It's not many places that you can get that and that it's going to be nice. It's not sleep on the floor at night because you might get hit by a stray and all that stuff. It's not roach coach place and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I love about here. And the fact that good paying jobs are plentiful here. They're plentiful. If you get laid off today, you're going to have another job tomorrow or by the end of the week. And not just any job, a good job, a job with benefits, a job where you can pay your rent or your mortgage and pay your light bill and what have you. I like that. And the sense of community here, the sense of community. Um, you'll see if somebody got hurt or somebody died or someone is sick, the community will rally together and say, hey, we're having a benefit to raise money for such and such. They've been diagnosed with cancer. Yes, they have insurance, but they still have medical bills. I know that for a fact because that happened to someone at the church I was attending. And the people rallied together and raised money to help pay her medical bills. The pastor, her granddaughter is wheelchair bound, but she got her driver's license, needed a car. The car she had previously, it was totaled in an accident. They had some fundraisers. The people rallied together and they helped get her a car that was a van that was modified with hand controls so she could be independent and drive. That's what I like about here. Where else can you get that at? What's the matter, baby? I'm sorry, Elijah woke up crabby. So that's what I like about here. What I absolutely hate. Um, if I have to say hate, I would say the weather. And uh it's not and that would be like exaggerating because I'd rather deal with the cold than and know how my bills are paid and how my children are getting taken care of than live back in sunny South Florida and be struggling. When I lived in Florida, I didn't have any kids and what have you, but Florida is 10 times more expensive than living here in North Dakota. Um, if I moved from Florida to Georgia. Hold on. Sorry about that, guys. Evans is dealing with him. If you hear him whining in the background, he woke up crabby. Um, but I used to live in Florida. I love Florida. The time I lived there, I thought I would live there forever because Florida is absolutely beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. But I moved from Florida. Elijah, I moved from Florida to Georgia because I was struggling financially. And then when I moved to Georgia, I was still struggling. And that's what brought me here to North Dakota. Found out about North Dakota, found a job, they moved me here, and that's how I ended up here. Um, I don't know if there's another thing that I hate about North Dakota. The weather, the weather, it is what it is. You bundle up and you like how some places you'll see closed, schools closed for snow days. It rarely closes here for snow days. Like it's got to get whiteout conditions, like bad, bad, bad. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any school. There wouldn't be any school. You learn to drive in the snow, which I grew up in Delaware, so that's no big thing to me. People go out of town for a vacation. You can go to Minnesota. We've gone there plenty of times because Mall of America is there, biggest mall in America. It's huge. It has Nickelodeon theme park inside of the mall. So we've been there, I don't know how many times. They have that. They have Legoland. Is it Legoland? Lego something in the mall. They have Crayola. You can tell I'm a mom, right? They have Crayola in the mall. They have a lot of things over there to do. And then for me, I live in Minot. You can go to Fargo, which is 4 hours away. There's a lot to do over there. Now, I'm not a clubber. I haven't been to the club and I don't know when. So as for that, I don't know. But we have some bars here where I live. We have the O. That's the biggest bar in town. They have live music and stuff like that. But people travel. People travel. My brother and his wife, they live here and they travel at least 4 times a year. At least 4 times a year. But they work a lot. They work a lot. She's a OBGYN. She works a lot. So, but bank your money. And I tell people you don't have to live here forever. Now I've been here 13 years. Evans and I said we were going to do 10, but here we're still here. We're still here and advocating for other people to come here. But you don't have to stay here forever. How many months is the weather decent? I don't know. I never really thought about it. I never really thought about it. Now I know, okay, we have June, July. It will, so normally we do not get a lot of snow here. Now, I say normally, I won't say all the time, and that's permanent because it seems like the weather here in America is changing all over the place. It's flooding places there have never it's never flooded before. You got earthquakes in New Jersey. I never heard of an earthquake in New Jersey. The weather is like all over the place here in America. But normally we don't get a lot of snow. You get cold, and the cold can last. a while. And it may take the snow a while to melt, even though it's not snowing anymore. When they pile it up in mounds on certain parts of town, it may take the snow longer to melt because of the cold. Now, I love summers here, but for the last 3 years, summers here have gotten on my nerves. I love summers here because the weather, the air is clean. I have asthma. I could be outside, not need to use my inhaler, not have any problems. But for the last 3 years, Canada, our neighbor, has had wildfires. And because of the wind, it's been pushing it here to North Dakota. So on and off, the what do you call it? The oh Lord, what do you call it? The not the weather. The what's the word I'm looking for? Not the weather. The the climate will be terrible. The climate's not the word I'm looking for either. But the I'll think of it in a moment. But the air quality, excuse me, the air quality will be terrible. The air quality will be terrible because the smoke is coming from Canada. Other than that, temperature wise, it's great. It's great. Now, normally, not this year, but normally in August can be hot. That's where we'll get the high 90s. It will be hot. We'll have a heat wave. But this year we didn't have that. But the weather has been all over the place, most places here in the United States. But it's not bad. It's not bad. But I still advocate for people to move to North Dakota if you're older, maybe you don't have children, but or maybe your children are grown. Because me and my husband, we got started a little later. Most of our peers in our group, age group, already had kids young. Their kids are grown or almost grown. But if your kids are grown and maybe you didn't plan for retirement, or you struggle raising your kids financially because it was just tight for whatever reason. Maybe you didn't budget your money right. Maybe you never made a lot of money, and maybe run raising your kids, it was just hard to plan for retirement, whatever the case may be. But here's a place that you can come. You're still of working age, and you can get ahead. If you want to buy a home, the American dream is not dead here. You can still find a home here that is not going to break the bank. If you're married and you want to buy a home where you can afford to pay the mortgage on one income, you can still do that here. It's still possible, very much possible, very very much possible. But I know I have been gone a while, a good while. But many of you who have been following me for a while, my mother-in-law lived with us. I don't think I ever told anybody that she had cancer, but she was living in Georgia and she wasn't doing too well. And when my husband went to go see her, we have been saying for her to move here for probably 2 years. I was telling my husband he needs to have her move here because he was taking care of her financially because she had gotten to the point where she could no longer work. And he was paying her rent and other things or what have you. And I was telling him, because we were in the process of getting out of debt, but I would never, never accept my husband not doing whatever he could for his mother. Now, I have to be honest and say, my mother-in-law and I, we've never had a beautiful relationship. Like my brother and his mother-in-law, oh my God, they get along so well. My dad and my grandmother, before my grandmother passed away, they got along so well. But me and my mother in law, we never had that. We never had that. She just didn't care for me for various reasons because I'm not Caribbean and just various reasons I won't get into. But the way I was raised, I would not find it acceptable if my husband did not do whatever he could to help and take care of his mother just because she and I don't get along. Well, she didn't get along with me. I, I wouldn't say I didn't get along with her, but because she didn't get along with me. And sometimes she made things, she tried to make division, but my husband had to put his foot down and let her know this is not working. This is not going to work. But even despite all of that, I kept saying to him, "Your mother needs to move here because she's not getting the care she needed in Georgia. She did not have health insurance, and my husband was paying for treatment out of pocket. And to be quite honest, it was getting to be a strain, paying for rent, paying for her treatment, paying for someone to drive her back and forth to doctor's appointment, paying for different things. And it was getting to the point where we're to the point where we're like, okay, she's not getting the food she needs. Mind you, she had people, family that lives in Georgia, but they weren't giving her what she needed. And it was like, okay, well, we're going to hire somebody and have meals delivered to her for the weekly basis. She can put them in the freezer, take it out, microwave, heat it up, make sure she has something to eat. And I said to him, I said, you and your sisters need to get on a group call and say with the benefit of her coming here. Because it was him, my husband, and his sister in New York that were taking care of her. His sister in New York were paying for uh, some things, but not a lot because where they live in New York is very expensive. She's a stay-at-home mom. Only her husband's working, but they were doing something. And she and I were like, okay, this is getting to be a lot. It was getting to be a lot. We were trying to get out of debt. We were 30 some thousand dollars in debt. We cut back everything. We were a no thrills, no frills household. My kids came out of swimming. They came out of taekwondo. It was absolutely nothing going on extracurricular at our house because we were trying to get out of debt and he was taking care of his mother. And I would never be like, oh, you can't do this for your mom. That's never going to be me because nobody's ever going to tell me that if my parents need help, that I'm not going to help them. Mm-mm. Ain't no way in hell. I'm not going to help my mama or my father. Ain't no way in hell that's going down. So I wouldn't tell him that. In fact, if he didn't want to do nothing for his mother, I would have an attitude with him because what you got going on? Why you not helping your mama? That's just me. Now I know a lot of people be like, "Oh, I don't care." The way I was raised, do right by people, let God handle them. Do right by people, let God handle them. So I was advocating for her to come here. Now, when she came here, I didn't think she would live with us. I thought she would get her own place, live with us temporary, get her own place. But then when she got here, I said to him, she doesn't need to live on her own. This is a hazard if she lives on her own. She could fall, even though we may go over there in the morning or in the afternoon. She could be here laying down. If she falls, she can be down a while before we get to her in the afternoon or the evening. It's not good for her to live on her own. She needs to move in there with us. So that's what she did. So she moved in with us. She lived with us, ooh, 2 years, year and a half. It was a while. It was a while. And I was her primary caregiver because my husband was at work majority of the time. She had a lot of appointments in Bismarck, which is an hour and a half away. A lot of appointments going there, a lot of appointments to the cancer center here in town. It was a lot. And then I have four boys. My oldest son, I pulled him out of public school. I felt like he didn't get wasn't getting what he needed. And that's not to deter anybody from the public schools here. I love where my kids used to go, Lewis and Clark Elementary, before we moved to the new neighborhood. I love that if your kids do not show up for attendance or they think they're not there, you don't get an automatic call. The office calls calls you. It's not an automated message. She calls you. And if you don't answer, they're going to keep calling you to say, hey, okay, Emmanuel, we took attendance. He was not there. A couple of times they called and they're like, oh, Emmanuel's not here today. I'm like, yes, he is, ma'am. I dropped him off and I watched him go in the building. Oh, you know what? He has a substitute. There's a substitute in that classroom. Hold on. I'm going to run down there and check and see if he's in there. Come back. Oh, you're right. The substitute just made a mistake. I like that. When I go to the school, everybody knows the Charles brothers. Everybody knows my children's name. Now, that may not be a big deal for some people, but it is for me. In the school, it's not huge like if they went to school in Miami, Georgia, but it's not a school where it's so small. Like in Surrey, here in Surrey, North Dakota, 12 kindergarten to 12th grade is all in one building. It's not like that here. But I like that. But my older son, he was lacking focus, and I was just like, you know what, I gotta pull you out of school, public school, to make sure you're getting what you need. So him being homeschooled, her with appointments, me running a business, it was just like, okay, I need to take I need to take some time for me and take a step back. So now she has gotten a lot better, a lot better. Her cancer is in remission. Thank God for that. In remission, and she wanted to move back to Georgia. So she moved back to Georgia, and now she's living with his sister in Georgia and doing really well. When she first came here, she could hardly walk, having some problems and what have you. And doing, she's not 100%, but I would say 75, 80% better than when she came here. Because when she came here, I was like, ooh, Lord. And I was advocating for her to come here because that's my husband's mother. I love my husband. And I didn't want anything to happen to his mother. And if we could do something to help her. And then I started thinking, if something happens to her, and we all know our parents are going to leave this world one day. But I said, I am not ready to walk my husband through the process. And I don't even think I could him through the process of if his mother passed. I I'm not ready to do that if something happens to his mother. So if her coming here is going to help her get better, help her live longer, help her get the care that she needs, then whatever we got going on, whatever, this is where she needs to be to get where she needs. Because I care about my husband. I love my husband. And that's my kid's grandmother. So anyway, there's just a little backstory. So now she's relocated back to Georgia. She's doing a whole lot better. And she wanted to go back to Georgia. She wanted to go back to Georgia. I'm like, okay, we're not gonna hold you hostage. You're a free adult, free mind. Your mind works great. You can do what you gotta do. Do what you want to do. So she's relocated. My All of my kids will be in school now. My two oldest will be homeschooled, but the third and the baby boy goes off to kindergarten. So everybody will be at school now or school age now. So, and my 11-year-old, he sadly is more independent now. He doesn't need me to do everything for him. Some days he's wants me to make his breakfast. Some days he's like, "Oh, I got it." And then other days he's like, "Oh, I can't make my own sandwich." But for the most part, he's independent. I've always had my children do chores from the time they have been able to do chores. I taught them how to do laundry, and I said to them, "Hey, I'm not going to be the only one doing things around here. Because my husband and I were both guilty of we give them chores and then we don't stick to them doing it. I love my husband so much. Now my husband isn't perfect, not by no means, and he would say I'm not perfect. I'm sure some days he want to tell me, "Shut up." I know some days he just want to say, "Shut up." I know he does. He doesn't tell me that, but I know he does. I know he wants to tell me, "You are getting on my nerves." But one of the things I love about my husband is he works the hours that he works that are long and crazy, but he will come home or on his day off, he will still help around the house. And I don't ask him to do anything. I don't expect him to do anything. When our boys were at the ages where they needed us to still bathe them, he would give baths. I never had to ask him to bathe his own children. Did you hear stories of people say, "Oh, he's babysitting his kids and whatever"? My husband's never been that. My husband is, "These are my children. I'm taking care of my children." I can go somewhere, I would give instructions and say whatever, and he'd be like, "I don't need you to give me instructions. I know how to take care of my children." Now, mind you, 10 minutes later, he's going to call me for something. He's going to call me for something. But what I love about him is that if he sees something that needs to be done, he doesn't come in complaining. "Oh, you've been home all day, blah, blah, blah. And why this?" Mm-mm. He just does it. He's on vacation now. He's off for, I think he's off 15 days. And he doesn't know how to just do nothing. He doesn't know how to just do nothing, just relax. One Saturday he was off, and I made sure there was nothing to do. The kids did their chores, they did them right. There was nothing to do. There was no laundry. He likes to do his own laundry because he works for an oil company. He gets really oily and what have you. And his jumpsuits or whatever, his company washes them, but the clothes under it, they still get grimy. And he puts his own clothes separate. And I don't know what it is. I think he doesn't want to feel like I'm overburdened because he would say to me, even though you're home, you're still working. He doesn't feel like because I'm home, I'm not working. He has said plenty of times, "You're still working," and it takes a team around here. But he likes to do his own laundry, and I don't argue with him no more. You want to do your own laundry? Okay, okay, do your thing. But me and the kids, we did everything, and he's laying across the bed, and he says, "There's nothing for me to do around here." And I'm like, "You just don't know how to do nothing, do you?" He's like, "Nope, I gotta find something to do." I'm like, "Why don't you just relax? Just chill." And my mom, she used to get on my nerves. She's not watching, so I could say that. Because she used to be like, "Oh, when he come home, he shouldn't be doing nothing. He worked all these hours and this and that and that." I'm like, I don't tell him to do anything. I don't ask him to do anything. He does it because he wants to. And then finally she got it. And she stopped talking about it. She got it. And I'm like, he wants to, but yeah. Oh yeah, I am doing well. Thank you for tuning in, Jackie. I am doing well. Thank you. I hope you're doing well as well. But so that's what's been going on. Now she has relocated back to Georgia. I no longer have to be running back and forth to Bismarck, traveling there an hour and a half away, taking 2 hours at appointments, then traveling an hour and a half back home and what have you. That's over. No longer taking 2 appointments here in town and all that stuff. Um, I am in the process of going back to school. I'll talk more about that later. Um, Maybe I should just talk about it now. So I have to do an entrance exam. I've been studying for that for the entrance exam. Um, and I'm going back to school to get my nursing license. If you've been subscriber and followed me for a minute and what have you, you know um I'm in non-medical care, And now you don't need a nursing license to do non-medical care. I started as a CNA, but non-medical care. And I have been wanting to open a CNA school and do some other businesses tied to the medical field. And one of the things, I still don't need a nursing license, but one of the things I will never let have someone hold me over the barrel, say so to say, because I can start a nursing school, but I need to have a nurse on staff. And my thing is, I can start a CNA school and some like phlebotomy or whatever. I don't need a nursing license, but I need to have a nurse on staff. However, I wouldn't feel comfortable if I didn't have the credential as well, because that means the nurse that I have on the paperwork, if I just have her and not me or anyone else, she can decide, or he can decide they want more money. And if I'm not willing to pay them more money, or they can have some other demands that I don't want to meet, and they could decide that they're going to quit, then what am I going to do? Because I don't have the credential. I can find someone else later, but in between time, and I just don't want that to happen to me. And then some other businesses I can do with having a nursing license. So I'm like, okay, all the kids will be at school age and what have you. Okay, let me do this. So I've started my prereqs. I've been working on that. So that's what I've been doing from April until now, is doing that and getting ready for nursing school. So I've been working on my prereqs. I'll actually apply in March. The program won't start until um, fall of 26, so I've got time. But I'm gonna have all my prereqs out of the way, so I just have to do the actual nursing classes once I get into the program. So that's what I've been up to. I'm in the process of starting another business. I'll tell y'all about that once it's up and running. But I'm in the process of starting another business. And starting a business here in North Dakota is not complicated at all. It is not complicated. Depending on what business you are starting, it doesn't take a whole lot of money. Excuse me. North Dakota is entrepreneurial and business friendly. So if you want to come here, you may start off as working. I mean, I started when I came here, I came as a CNA. I was making $12 an hour. And when I got fed up with the company I was working for because they started giving me a hard time because I was pregnant, I left. I left. Evan said to me one day, I'm tired of you coming home complaining about these people every day. Just don't go back no more. So I left. And then I was working as a phlebotomist, and I decided when I got over being fearful of having my own business, and having actual employees, because a lot of people talk about business and blah blah blah, and I'm not trying to knock anybody, but they don't have employees and all that stuff. They don't have to run payroll. You don't have to make sure money's coming every month to make sure people are getting paid and getting paid on time. And that was scary. That was scary. But once I got over being fearful, I took that leap of faith, and I started my business. I started my business. One of the best things I have ever done. It allowed me to become financially independent and allowed me to have total control of my schedule as a mom and a wife. The only thing I wish I would have done different when starting my business is I wish I didn't quit my job to start my business. I wish, not immediately, I wish I would have kept my job, started my business, and hired people to work the business. That way, I could have had my income from my job and income from the business. But hindsight is 2020, and it was the best thing I ever did was starting my own business. So I have complete control over my time, how much money I'm gonna make. Best thing I ever did. And you can do the same thing here in North Dakota. Maybe you don't want to start a non-medical in-home care business, but something else. The lady who does my hair, she moved here from California. It's just a coincidence that her husband and my husband work for the same company. Um, but he came here first, got a job, got set up, and then he sent for her and their child. And she's been here now 6 years. They bought a home here. She has a her own spot, salon suite here, doing very well. And she attended the Move to North Dakota Summit, and she said if they had stayed in California, she knew they wouldn't be able to buy a home, and she definitely would not be running her own business. And even though her husband could work in California doing the same job for an oil company, they're not going to get hardly anywhere because California, the cost of living is so much higher. So I would suggest anybody, if you're struggling, maybe you're not even struggling, maybe you're just tired of where you're at. Maybe every day, ooh, Lord, sweet baby Jesus, you hear about a shooting somewhere. We don't have that here. And I'm not going to say it will never happen because I can't say that. But crime here is it's low. It's low. When I send my kids to school, now I pray for them because that's just what I'm going to do. I'm going to pray, I'm going to cover them, but I'm not anxious about is somebody going to shoot up the school. One, they have security measures, so you just can't get in the building. You just can't get in the building, and they have cameras, they have locked doors, they have a lot here. But I don't worry about are my children going to come home today? We don't have that here. I don't worry about are my children getting bullied. I don't I don't think about that. I don't think about that. In the wintertime, if you leave your car outside of your garage, you cannot lock your door. You cannot lock your car door. Why? Because the lock is going to be frozen and you're not going to get in the morning. You're not going to get in. But you don't lock your door, your car door. It's not inside of the garage and your car is there in the morning. Nobody is jacking the car. It doesn't matter if you've got Chevy Suburban, Lincoln Navigator, Mercedes, because most people they're not jacking a hoopty, but your car is still there. You can't say that most places. You try that if you want. Your stuff gonna be gone come in the morning. You'll be like, oh, won't do that again. Is North Dakota without some things? No, everywhere has something. Everywhere has people that are ignorant, don't know how to act, but the good outweighs the bad. The good outweighs the bad. And I will be hosting another Move to North Dakota Summit. It will be in October. I'm lining up speakers as it gets closer and the more I come on, I'll give more details about that. But I am hosting another Move to North Dakota Summit. And then in once the weather breaks here, because October is going to be cold, and then it's going to start to get colder and some snowy weather into the fall. But once the weather breaks and we get into the end of spring, excuse me, early summer, I'm going to start having where you can come to North Dakota for a visit, and I'll do some hosting things to show people around because maybe you're not brave enough to come here sight unseen like me and the person who recently moved here, Miss K. You might not be that brave to just be like, you know what, I'm sick of where I'm at. I need to change. I found a job and I'm packing up and I'm going. You might not be that brave. You might need to come and scout some things out. So I'll be hosting scouting trip, and not just for where I live, but other places here in Minot. So that's what I'm working on. Again, we'll be having the Move to North Dakota Summit in October. So let me ask y'all, now that I am back, I know I used to do the mornings inspiration and talk about other things. I've done that. I've did some videos about housing here in North Dakota. I've showed what you can get at different price range of housing here. I think I did a video what you could get under $200,000 or for $200,000 home here where I live. Um, so what kind of things do you guys want me to start doing videos on? I am gonna do a video of me showing the different neighborhoods here in Minot, North Dakota, where I live. Now, when Miss Karen moved here, Miss Karen, when she moved here, I connected with her and I drove her around town showing her the different neighborhoods. She was shocked that there's no HOA here. She's like, this neighborhood has no HOA? No, no. We have one neighborhood here that has an HOA, and that's because they put in a private park. It's not really private because it's not gated. It's not stopping the public or what have you, but they put in a private park and the city doesn't maintain it. So they have a HOA there. But other than that, we don't have a HOA here. We don't have that anywhere here. Nowhere. She's like, there's no HOA in this neighborhood looks like this. I'm like, no, darling. There is no HOA. No HOA. So what kind of things do you want to see some videos on? Drop some comments and let me know. What do you want me to do videos on so I can give you guys what you want? Do you want some videos on encouragement? Do you want some videos on me going around and showing you the different neighborhoods, what it looks like here? I'm just waiting to see what you guys say. If not, I'll just start posting some stuff. Oh, and I'm going to start again. So, three main focus, if I'm counting correctly, on this channel is talking about move to North Dakota, importance of getting out of debt, because that's how I started. What I started my channel on is getting out of debt, and having more than one income. I still think that is very, very important. I'll be talking more about monetize your genius. Um, I don't know if you guys that are watching, if you attended my 5 day challenge last year. I had a 5 day challenge on monetize your genius. We all have something that we know and do that we can make money off of in addition to our job. Now we know they claim we are not in a recession, but if we have good judgment, we know things aren't all they seem to be. And with the price of inflation, we need more than one income. We need more than one income. So I'll be talking about monetizing your genius. I'm actually going to make that so that you can do that on your own. It'll still be 5 days. But if you want to do it all in one day or do it on your own, you can. I'm going to automate that just with me doing my business, starting a new business, and going back to school. I got to automate some things. So I'm going to automate that. Um, if I find time to do another live challenge, I'll do another live challenge. Let me know if y'all want me to do a live, uh, do the 5 day monetize your genius live one more time. If that will make, if you guys want it to be live again, because I can do it live again. So I'll be talking about that. Um, moving to North Dakota, importance of getting out of debt. Those will be the main focuses of this channel. Those will be the main focuses of this channel. Do you guys want some motivation stuff again? I see some people still watching, but let me know. Make a comment. Let me know. Or maybe you're not a subscriber. Maybe you're not a subscriber because I turn off comments from non-subscribers because we have some, you got some keyboard workers, some keyboard warriors on the other end the keyboard that be popping off that if they saw you in person wouldn't say half the stuff that they type because they're living lonely and they just don't know how to be friendly. All right, y'all. I don't have any more comments. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the live. I really appreciate it. I am back. I hope y'all have a great evening. If you're struggling, keep hope. It's not always going to be like this. There will be a brighter day. When that brighter day will be, I can't tell you. I can't tell you it's going to be tomorrow or the next day. I can't tell you because at one point I was like in a financial hardship for like 3 years when I lived in Georgia. But oh, one day, watching the news, I heard about this place called North Dakota. I found a job here and they relocated me here. And things have been so much better. So you may be struggling right now, but life isn't always going to be a struggle. Pray, ask God for help, ask God for guidance. Don't be afraid to take a leap of faith, even if it's not moving to North Dakota. God may open a door for you to do something else that will give you what you need financially. He may open a door for you to move somewhere else that will be a better fit for you financially. But when He gives you the answer to your prayer, don't be afraid to take a leap of faith and do it. And do it. And ask God to help you recognize the answer to your prayer. So when the answer comes, you don't ignore His answer to your prayer. I'm rooting for y'all. I'm rooting for y'all. Until next time, have a blessed and prosperous future.